Well, good morning. It's Thursday, the 27th of August 2020. Just going to show you a project that we've been working on for the last 8-9 years, which is the establishment of a heritage orchard here in East Midlands, UK. It comprises about 55 trees. Quite a few of them are actually different. They're pear tree, plums, gauges, apples, eating apples, cooking apples. Quite a variety really. And it actually was established in an area that used to be conifers. So we cleared the conifers, re-established the ground, and over a period of about 3 years have established the orchard. The actual trees, the stock itself came in from a specialist business, I think it's over in Norfolk. And bit by bit, as we've cleared, we've planted it with the orchard. And this year, by and large, it's done really quite well. I think in the UK, it's very different parts of the country, but here in the sort of East Midlands area, we've avoided most of the frost and got a reasonable crop. One of the things about these heritage orchards is that, as you're probably aware, orchard trees need generally to be planted in blocks so that they can cross-pollinate. And what we've done is to plant blocks so that the different trees actually come into blossom at different times of the year. So hopefully what happens is, if you catch a frost and one little block loses its blossom, is damaged, then some of the other blocks might actually be okay. So that's the approach. So as I take you for a quick spin round, you'll see some trees have got absolutely no apples on whatsoever. And others have done really, really well. Last year was a very bad year for us. We got hardly any fruit whatsoever. But this year, some of the plums, some of the apples have done exceptionally well. I've just been going around trimming, so access is easy now. And what I'll show you is a little bit what's and all, as usual. We've just had some terrifically strong winds, and that's battered things around a little bit and knocked some of the apples off. And some of the trees are actually leaning a little bit. Nothing's perfect, but I'll show you just how it is, and you can get a feel for what we do with an orchard like this. Okay, so this gives you a feel for what the orchard looks like. We've planted 3 rows of trees here, and as I mentioned, try to clump them together in the right sort of pollination blocks. As an example, this is a Bedfordshire foundling. What we try to do is to maintain them such that you get this sort of open. What you want is a sort of a cup shape with a tree, so that the sunlight can get into it. This one's really vulnerable. As you can see, just in there's always a danger that any of these branches could snap off, and then you've really sort of got a very imbalanced tree. You can see the sort of amount of fruit. Now what we did actually do is go through quite a long time ago and remove a lot of fruit from these trees, before they really got before the fruit started filling out. Otherwise you just put so much pressure on the branches, and you can end up with is lots of fruit which doesn't actually grow up properly. So it's sort of being cruel to be kind in some respects. These were pear trees. Pear trees don't always do that much good. Here, that one didn't do much good this time. You see an example here of where if a branch gets overloaded, you just snap off, and then you've sort of lost it forever. So that one's gone. I mean, these sort of plum gauges, they've been lessened, but just the sheer weight on that branch has brought it down. I think this one is a Laxton epicure. This one will be picking today. It's well, you can tell by the time when you get hold of them and they just want to drop off, then you're pretty well there. You can see what's happened with the strong winds that we've had. But this is an apple which is it's probably a bit like a gala by appearance. When you cut through it, it has lots of sort of pinky tinges in it. It's quite a sweet apple. So that's definitely on for picking today. I think it's mostly you'll know when an apple's ready to pick, because you really don't have to work it very much to get it off. If you pull in and pull in at an apple, it just really isn't ready. So pick that one up in a moment. And this looks like a cooker. Again, really nice big size fruit on it. I think that's a gauge, not many on there. But an example is that that is a plum tree that's, it's been cleared now, but that is probably, I'm going to say 6-7 years worth of growth. When we actually planted these, what we did is because we've got problems with deers and rabbits, what we actually did is planted them and then surrounded them by that orange hibis netting, and that worked a treat. Kept it on for 4 or 5 years actually, 3 or 4 years, and that did exactly what we needed in terms of the deer just didn't like it. It stayed away, and when that came off, if you can probably see at the bottom there, just put some of the localised rabbit netting or rabbit protection, and that has served a treat. And we haven't lost any, I don't think, due to animal damage. It's usually wind damage that causes a problem. And this is a plum that, I think this is a cooking plum, because so far they actually feel really quite firm. It feels like these need to be in a pan rather than anything else. What type that one is, I don't know, but you can see how full it is, and this is after we've actually cleared a lot of the fruit off it. There's another branch that was damaged. I mean, eventually these trees will sort themselves out. As long as you've got enough branches left that can sort of take over, you'll be okay. Just occasionally we have a tree that just doesn't, whether it doesn't like the ground or something. You see down here there's 3 that were actually planted last winter. What you want to do when you're planting these trees is just nip out the top, so that what you get is, and we'll take off some of these lower sort of buds. What you want to do is to start this structure, start it opening out. I mean, some of these apple trees, they're just as large as they can be. This one's a really lovely plum. I'm not sure what type of plum it is, but it's these yellow ones are gorgeous. I've been picking these quite a lot, really. But again, you can see another branch that's gone. You can see some of these trees leaning. It's quite regularly you've got to come round and either restake. If you can do without stakes, that's great. You know, there's one at the back there which has been in quite a while. It's got properly established, and that's exactly really what you want with an apple tree. It's opened out, it's getting the sunlight in, it's got the energy. That one's doing fine. This one's got a good lean on. What I find with these posts, these stakes, they tend to rot off quite quickly. So if you're having, I mean, that will pull back. I'll get the apples off, take some weight off it, and then pull it back. Maintenance wise, nothing ever gets sprayed here. Rather the fruit or the trees don't get sprayed. The only thing that gets sprayed is the bottom of the tree when they are relatively immature. So when they go in, they have a mat put around the bottom, about a metre square mat. And each year I just go around and spray out the grass and the weed at the bottom to try and reduce the competition. After that, I think last year they got a little bit of fertiliser. Got to be careful not to over fertilise, otherwise that can cause problems, and I don't know whether that was what contributed to last year's relatively poor crop. And then, yeah, it's just maintaining guards, keeping the vertical, a little bit of pruning in winter on the apples, but the plums, you really need to be trimming them back this time of year. They're a summer pruning exercise. And maintenance is what I've been doing this morning, just trimming off the grass, really just for ease of access now. But you can see some of these trees they've got no fruit on at all, and that's kind of how it is. And I think by having enough variety of different types of trees in, every year you hope that you can get a reasonable crop off a percentage of them. Going forward, what will happen to the fruit with this, we're not really sure at the moment. Some of this will just be sort of used by family, but there are options in terms of selling fruit or juicing. So I'm always interested in hearing from anybody who's got a use for such like. But yeah, what I like about the fruit is that it's not been sprayed, and yet the condition of it is pretty good. I think it's as good as it's going to get. And very little pest damage. There was one of the trees a couple of years ago, just at the top there, that did have some sort of the whole tree got covered by some sort of moth, its web and what have you. But that hasn't happened this year. So I say we have been picking, and wind's taken out some of these, but I'm just amazed at the size of some of these apples. So anyway, I think that's it. I think that's the highlights of a heritage orchard. I think it's really good that we can maintain these fruit trees going forward, different varieties. I do think sometimes heritage fruit becomes heritage fruit because the world moves on and there's better varieties that are more commercial, but having tasted these, I just cannot get my head around importing from France or anywhere else an apple that to replace something like these. And they keep a reasonable length of time. Whether they keep right through till next summer, I don't know, but I think it's just good to be able to sort of maintain these, so we will stick with it. And so there we are. Hope you enjoyed that look around this orchard, and we'll look forward to the next one. So thank you very much for watching, and there's an advert coming up which is about the book that I wrote. It's ideal really for farmers, and it talks about our UK economy, climate change, biodiversity loss, and well-being. And it was written over the winter just prior to the start of COVID-19, and it looks at our negative legacy and what the actions that we've been taking and how that's going to fall on other people, both in the short term and the longer term, particularly our children and grandchildren. But I've used a scenario of a typical farmer, that everything comes from their perspective. So it's research based, trying to get the facts of each aspect, and then looks at where it was heading and where perhaps we could be heading to give us a better outcome. COVID-19 has upset things a little bit on some fronts, particularly the finances, but whatever happened during the winter in terms of finances, it was pretty bad, and subsequently it's got even worse, but that doesn't detract from the book at all. So I'll leave a link and a picture, and if anybody wants to have a read, it's something like £10 for a paperback and £6 or less for the ebook. So have a look at that, and you might enjoy reading that. Okay, thank you very much.